My next guest may have the biggest idea of all. It was a website that changed the lives of tens of millions of people. Some folks even say he could be bringing down the entire newspaper industry. I love guys like this. The founder of Craigslist, Craig Newmark. Welcome to Big Idea, sir. How are you, man?
Hey, I'm great. Glad to be here.
Now, you're on the network of capitalism here, and I got to protect you as you walk through this building because a lot of guys would grab you and shake you and say, dude, you got 15 million visitors a month. You're the 7th most looked at website, English language, and you're not running advertising. You're not, yeah, you're making 25 million a year off this thing. You could make 20 times that, 30 times that, billions, yet you're like, no, thank you. I'm going to do it my way.
Well, we're not anti-capitalist or anti-commercial in any way whatsoever. We've just made some decisions based on what our values are. We're happy with that, and it feels right.
Let's go back to the beginning because it's a fascinating story, and Craigslist is iconic. And you talk about as a kid, you were the quintessential pocket protector nerd.
That's true. It's not an exaggeration at all. I wore a plastic pocket protector. I wore thick black glasses taped together, and I had the social skills that come with that. And it's taken a long time to move out of that in any manner. Was
that painful? Is it, we laugh and say, and I actually did a whole show recently on, Revenge of the Nerds, who made good. We all see that stereotype of the, the kid, the pocket protector, and the glass. That's got to be a tough way to grow up.
It's not much fun, but you manage to grow out of it anyway. And in the computer industry, there's a lot of people like that, and a lot of people growing out of it, like myself.
Sure.
It happens.
Now, you also talked about you spent 17 years at IBM, kind of as you called it, as a drone. You felt like you could really relate to the Dilbert comic strip.
Well, IBM was very good for me in a lot of ways, but back then IBM wasn't a good place. IBM in the field wasn't a good place for someone real technical. Now I hear it is. But in any case, I still, I do live La Vida Dilbert, and a lot of people do.
Let's talk about the beginning of Craigslist because it is a phenomenon. 1995, just give me the beginning where you just kind of start doing this thing.
Well, at that point I was at Charles Schwab, and I was doing things like looking around the internet, evangelizing it around the company, especially for brokerage businesses of any sort. Worked with a guy, Darek Malusky, who had brought the first web server and web browsers to Schwab, and its potential was kind of obvious. So again, I went around the company showing it to people along with other folks. I saw a lot of other people helping each other, and I figured I should do some of that. Started, and then as people made suggestions, I did those, and that's our pattern till now. We listen, we follow through the best we can, and repeat.
But I want to understand the tipping point. You do your initial, what would you call it initially, what were you doing, what you were launching? What would you call it?
Initially, it was just a little bit of a mailing list for events involving technology and arts.
Okay. How does it, what I don't understand is how you, okay, you're this guy, and you're this kind of interesting, computer guy, you do this thing, a little bit of a mailing list. For when did it start to become the everyman classified section for apartments, for jobs, for girlfriends? I mean, that's a big gap.
In our case, there's been no single tipping point. At the end of '97, when it was just me, I noticed that I was getting about 1 million page views per month. The folks at Microsoft Sidewalk, now defunct, asked me about running banner ads. I said no, by the way, and decided not to. But it's been slow, continuous growth, maintained by the guy who runs things now, the enormously tall Jim Buckmaster. We just keep plugging away. No, we have a lot of similar values, but still different in other ways. But Jim does bring some vision to the site. Me, I have no vision whatsoever.
Well, you got vision enough. What is amazing is it's 23 employees in this whole thing. I mean, this is the people's company in effect. You serve people. You don't ask for a lot in return, in effect. People pay for the postings, but there's no advertising, and you want to keep it this way, and I could say you're kind of a socialist, no?
Capitalism is not so much about making money as it is about freedom of choice, You can make money, you can make less money.
Well, freedom of choice is different than capitalism. Capitalism is about making money.
Well,
once again, whether you believe it or not, that is what capitalism is.
Let's say there's many definitions.
Okay.
I like mine better.
Okay. So it's freedom of choice. That's your capitalism.
Yeah.
Couldn't I argue, I'm going to be the capitalist bourgeois pig for a second and push you on this because you have a brilliant idea. Couldn't, if you ever had kind of linked up with the VCs or went public and put money into it, couldn't you even serve your constituents better without selling out to the devil, so to speak? I mean, the theory behind anything between raising money or making more money is that you can even do better for people. So why those two things at cross purposes?
We're finding that with more money into the company, not much we can do more that would help people more. We thought about it philanthropically and spoken to some of the folks doing big work with billions to give away, like Pierre Omidyar, and they're finding it really hard to give away money in a way that will have a sustainable effect. You know, lots of people, charities, governments throw a lot of money around and don't manage to have a lasting effect.
Right.
Now people like Pierre are trying to figure out how to do it and do it really well.
Okay, let me also continue the role as the bourgeois capitalist pig, looking out for our great industries in this country. You've got the newspaper industry, that their classified revenues are down 36%. Some could look at you and say, you're going to take down newspapers. That basically newspapers are going to, I want to put something on your shoulders, newspapers are going to go away because of this crazy, you know, iconoclast, this guy who doesn't care about making money, and he's going to bring it to the people, and we're going to bring newspapers crashing down because their entire revenue stream is built on classifieds.
Well, most of that's mythology.
Okay.
We do have an effect on newspaper classifieds, but it's a minor effect compared to, say, some of the more aggressive sites, niche sites, and compared to some of the niche classified newspapers that you see around,
Sure.
like Penny Saver or Auto Trader.
I'm not here to stick up for the Tribunes of the world. I mean, I think they're okay. It's the nature of things, the evolution of things is somebody comes up with a better model, and that's capitalism. But usually they're capitalizing on that model, and thus new businesses are built. You are kind of like putting a javelin through the heart of this business, but yet not launching another business, just a service. It's interesting.
It's not much us. The bigger problems newspapers have to do with
Nobody
Will's
under the age
chains.
of 50 is reading them. Right?
Well, there's that too, but there's also they want high profit margins, and then there's the general loss of trust and the expense of paper. Paper's expensive to print on, it's
Sure.
expensive to deliver.
I find you a fascinating character, as does Time Magazine, naming you one of the 100 most influential people in the country. For a guy that once carried a pocket protector and was that nerd and all that kind of stuff, you're wielding a big stick now.
Maybe so, although I think that's greatly exaggerated.
It's really not. If you really think about the power that you have, we have the Malones and the Murdochs, and everybody's fighting for eyeballs. That's the game, and you're getting 15 million of them a month. The 7th most visited English website. That's power.
Well, the Time 100 thing, I'm sure, was a clerical error. If you want to look to people who are much more important in this kind of thing, you have to look beyond, well, sure, I have that George Costanza mojo going for me. After all, I'm a bit of a pretty boy.
Yes, you are.
But the most trusted names in news are like Stephen Colbert and Jon Stewart.
Well, you are a 21st century renegade. I salute your courage and your desire to go at it your own way and stick to your values, because that's what any great business does.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it.
Great to see you. More Big Idea. Don't go anywhere.